They're calling this one the Nike Lebron Best 10-18, and the whole story of it is that they've got a few sneakers from the LeBron line, 18 different silhouettes that we've had so far, and a couple of the best hits from those shoes coming in here. And we're going to look at the three top ones that I found on the shoe there, and then also the rest of the shoe. So we started off right here with the lace locks. There's a big debate about where these lace locks are coming from, because I have an opinion that doesn't match a lot of people's opinions out there. A lot of places that I've seen, internet sites and social media and stuff like that, are calling this a LeBron 12 lace lock. And maybe it does look like that, maybe it doesn't. I don't have a direct line to LeBron, I don't have a direct line to Nike. I can't tell you for sure. Don't have a massive shoe compartment full of LeBron sneakers, if you know what I'm saying. So I can't give you a perfect answer on this, but I've done a little bit of research, and to me, what we're looking at isn't a LeBron 12 lace lock, it's a LeBron 10 lace lock, and particularly the one we're looking at right here is from the LeBron 10 Pressure. I don't know if you remember that shoe. It's a very, very clean shoe, and it has that lace lock on it, and there's something about the way it sort of flattens out, and it's got that lion effect going on there, and then the laces running through it in two different places, if I remember rightly. And to me, that's what this is on this Best 10-18. They're saying out there it's the 12s. I'm saying it's the 10s. You can tell me in the comments down below which of us is right, or if it's maybe from a different shoe completely. So that's the first hit on the shoe, going straight in there. We're diving in feet first, and that's what we've been doing at the channel these days, is just diving in feet first and going straight to the shoe and the main points, and then we'll keep the chat for later. And speaking of main points, let's go up onto the ankle and have a look at the second hit on these shoes, and we're talking about an embroidered rose on the outside edge of the highest part of the ankle, and this one is the one I'm very secure about. The other two hits that we're going to talk about, we've already done the lace locks, and we'll get into the lining in a minute, but this is the one I'm sure about. The other two, I'm kind of like, I'm not sure which shoe that comes from or which silhouette that comes from, but this, the ankle, is definitely throwing it back to the 15s, and there's a huge line of embroidered roses on two colorways. I think there's a black one and a white one with the roses sort of splashed across some beautiful shoes, and very much what we're seeing here is that echo from the 15s coming out on the 18s. So that's only 3 years ago. The 10s, I'm saying, with the lace locks would be 8 years ago, and if they are 12s that the lace locks are from, that's 6 years ago. But it's the lining that has that question that might reach all the way back to LeBron 2s, but I'm not so sure about that. So let's have a look at the lining on these guys, and you'll see the animal print going on in there. And what I've read, and I kind of disagree with, is that this animal print is to do with the LeBron 2 player exclusive, I think, that was heavily animal printed. But I'm actually going for the 2K14s, which is one of the sort of more memorable shoes from the 12s. So we'll have a look at that right now, and you can see what that looks like, and the animal print on there, and the red signature on the shoe, but with the animal prints and sort of panels on there. And it's that shoe that I think is coming through on the lining of these guys instead of the 2s. They were very sort of rare shoe. I think they would have gone with less rare shoes, more general release shoes for these hits that they're pulling out from the catalogue. So I think the 2K14s is more likely than anything else. So hopefully those three things, the major talking points on the shoe that step these guys apart from your regular LeBron 18s, and say to you, you know, why would you go out there and buy them? What is it that's special about these guys that say, yes, I should dig into that more than any other LeBron 18? It's those three hits that I think you need to be looking at. The lace lock, the embroidery up on the ankle, and then the lining in the shoe. But that's not to say there's not more going on, because there is plenty more, and we'll go to that now. In fact, I think I'll start with the Aglets first, because the Aglets to me are slightly unique, and it might be that this is the kind of small detail that makes you guys want to go out and buy these guys. So hopefully those Aglets are shown up here, and what you can see is on the end of them you've got a signature on one, and you've got the LJ crown on the other, so it's another unique little touch on the shoe. And then if you're at Aglets, you're at laces, and if you're at laces, you're not too far away from 3 air units when it comes to LeBron 18s. And what we're talking about is running up the tongue, and the high version, not the lows. The lows don't have these air units on there, but the high versions have 3 air units spread throughout the tongue. And on the middle one of them, you've got the Dunk Man in there, which doesn't usually happen on LeBron 18s. I've seen a whole bunch of different stuff in these air units, from just sort of crazy abstract art style multicolors to signatures to there's actually the name of some shoes. I think What might have made it into one of the air units at some point. But this is the first time for me that I've seen the Dunk Man appear in one of those air units, so it's kind of a unique feature. And again, these are the kind of details that might make you want to go out there and grab yourself a pair of these. Not too far away from that, we get down into the upper and we can have a look at what's going on these guys. Now, usually the upper on LeBron 18s is kind of two-tone with a sort of outside edge which dominates it, and then a lower edge which gives you a kind of like sort of an echo that comes through, a shadow that comes through. But I'm not seeing that on these guys at all. It's just a fully violet or purple or any other color that I don't know. I've said this at the channel many times. I'm rubbish with colors. The standard colors like purple, blue, and green, stuff like that, yeah, all over that. But as soon as you get into anything like lilac or other violet, things like that, not a hope of telling you what it is. So I'm going to stick with purple. You can see on the green screen what the actual color is, but it's good enough to say purple. But more important, I think, than looking at the upper of these guys, the color of it, is actually going forward and having a look at the swoosh on the toe, which is a black swoosh and a red outline, and that to me is a nod to any bread sneaker that LeBron has brought down the line. Now the 17s were a big bread sneaker because they had that kind of connection to the Jordan 6s, that infrared feel, and I think they were even called the infrareds. So this might be a nod to those bread sneakers of the past. There's often a question about the swoosh on the toes, whether it matches the swoosh on the medial side. Sometimes they match it up. Today they didn't, and if you go over and have a look at the medial side, you can see that that heel section on the back end of these LeBron 18s is in light blue, and the swoosh that's on there is also in that light blue. It's got a sort of textured feel to it that gives it a two-tone effect, but basically the light blue of the heel is repeated in the light blue of the swoosh on that side. And then if we go around to the other side, since we're on that sort of lower section of the shoe and have a look at the mid-foot and the midsole, you can see that on there there's sort of a semi-speckled effect going on. Usually when you have a speckled midsole, it's a very constant speckle that runs the length of the shoe, but in the case of these guys, there's this blue in there that's sort of coming strong and concentrated in some parts of the midsole, and then in other parts it's not really there at all. So it's one of the neat little details on these guys. And then before we go underneath, we might as well go inside and have a look at the insoles. Difficult to see them unless you do this and you pull the insoles out, and they're heavily branded with Nike and LeBron branding. The Dunkman's on there, I think, Nike's on there, Swoosh is on there, I think maybe LeBron's signature's on there as well, a bunch of stuff just running through those insoles. I think it might be as much as 10 different brands that you can see on there, and hopefully it's showing up on the green screen here so you get an idea of what's going on the inside of these guys. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to flip them upside down and have a look at the outsole, and you see that now we've got a semi-translucent white outsole on these guys. I don't I don't previously remember seeing semi-translucent outsoles on LeBron's, but I might not have been paying close enough attention. But for me, this is the first time that the 18 has brought a semi-translucent outsole that I remember. But the problem is, I've probably looked at 10 different LeBron 18s, so one of them might have slipped through a little semi-translucence on there. But for these guys, a very white outsole, and you can just see around the edge of the heel, the outside edge of the heel, you can see where the semi-translucence comes in. And I think that's pretty much everything on this shoe. So we'll go back out and have a look at the whole thing and give you an idea of what's going on. There's probably some other stuff on the shoe that's pulled from other silhouettes down the line that I don't actually know about. I'd love to hear about that in the comments down below. If there's a particular detail on these guys that's a nod back to one of the classic silhouettes from the past, it'd be good to know. What is interesting though is, like I said at the start of this video, I've been keeping the chat till later in the videos and going straight in at the start with the main hits, because I think people are most interested in that. They want to see the hits on the shoe and what sets the shoe apart from your normal shoe or your normal general release, which we did first, and then getting into the chat about the shoes. And one of the things I was thinking about was that this is coming out as we near the end of what I would call the quarterfinals, being British, but it's the, I don't know what you call it, it's like the next is the conference finals, and then the final would be the NBA finals, the actual big show, if you know what I mean. But right now we're in the quarterfinal stage. The Lakers got knocked out in the first round, I think, of the playoffs this year. I think they made it through the play-ins, but then they got knocked out in the playoffs. These guys coming on June the 30th, bit late in the day for a LeBron 18 after they got knocked out so early in the playoffs. So, but then you've got other shoes out there like James Harden and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and stuff like that, who are still very much in the playoffs. At least as I'm making this video, we'll see whether or not they make it through to those conference finals. It's the Brooklyn Nets, I think it is, that are trying to get there, as the Harden, Durant and Irving are playing for them. So, but not all of them at the moment because of some injuries. But enough about that. The chat's done, the video's done, and a look at the shoe is done. Hopefully, especially those 3 hits that I was able to take you through: the lace lock, the embroidered ankle, and then the lining on these guys gave you a nod to what what needs to be seen, and maybe you guys can tell me in the comments down below if there's more to this shoe than just those 3 different parts. For now though, it's time for me to wrap this one up. Thank you guys for checking out the content. I'll just say the same thing that I say at the end of every single video, which is that I do this every single day, and that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.